I wanted to share the 10 habits of optimists. I believe this is on your handout as well on page 1. These are some of the habits. So people who are optimistic tend to forgive. They tend to share their story. They smile more than they frown. They're focused on well-being. They're getting vitamin D. They're getting fresh air. They're exercising. They don't blame others. They understand that the past is not the blueprint for the future. So these are 10 of the habits of those who have a strong level of optimism. I often get asked when I do this workshop at conferences and events, well, this is great that these are the habits, but how can we build our optimism? The good news is it's the same list. One thing you might want to try tomorrow is smiling a little bit more, or getting a pinch more of exercise, or working on your listening skills. I wouldn't recommend that you eat the whole planet in a day, that you try to do the entire thing, but using these as the habits are also ways that you can build your optimism, which is super exciting because this is not rocket science. What I would love to do now is put you in some breakout rooms. So you have the handout, and there are 3 questions at the top of page 1. If you see me looking left to right, ladies and gentlemen, it's only because I have 3 screens up. Your handout's on one side, the chat box is on another side, and I promise I'm 100% present. So the questions for you to complete with your partners, or actually I think we're going to put you in groups of 4, is to share, are you optimistic? Share some of the ways that you've kept yourself optimistic, especially coming out of this pandemic. And then discuss the 10 habits that I just shared with you to see which ones you already have. We're going to give 10 minutes for this. We're going to do a breakout room of 4 people. And my wonderful friend Julia is going to put you in breakout rooms. Enjoy. I hope you were able to not only talk about optimism, which is one of my favorite topics ever, but also get to meet new people in our world of ESOPs. Does anyone want to share either how they're doing in terms of optimism, or something that an insight they gained from looking at those 10 habits? And if you want to share, we're a pretty small group, so you can just simply unmute and start talking, or raise your hand, or use the little hand icon.
Sarah, one of the things that we talked about in our group was we were happy to hear from you that optimism is something that you can build and grow. And I'm wondering, I don't want to get off topic, but if this is a time to share, could you tell us some more about studies around that, or how do you see that? Because we were thinking like, well, I'm just as optimistic as I am, and just this idea of growing that.
Yeah, so the book Flourish certainly shares a lot of that research and those findings, and I don't want to pretend to be one of the researchers at University of Pennsylvania. However, your level of optimism today may be very different from your level of optimism this afternoon, or tomorrow, or next week. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you a little bit later in the session is on page 2 under the resources. The University of Pennsylvania has a free, quick assessment center with an optimistic test. So if you're trying to think about, how do I quantify this? Am I optimistic? Am I not optimistic? Like, where do I stand on this scale today? There's a free, quick assessment you can take, and you could take it today, Jason, and then maybe in a week or 2, or after you start thinking about applying some of those optimistic skills, take it again in a few weeks. Often I do this a lot when I'm working with leaders or executives, and I tell them, share the optimism test with your team, make it fun. Hey, I learned about optimism at this conference. Here are some of the habits of optimism. I took the test. I was about this level yesterday. At the beginning of the pandemic, I think I was at about this level. Let's see where we are as a group.